What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. And you know what? I wasn't actually late tonight. What happened was I went to click start, was talking for a minute or two and realised I hadn't clicked it properly, so I had to restart the stream. So for once I made sure that I was on time, and yet I still managed to shit the bed somehow, ladies and gentlemen. How are we? Loads to get through tonight. I'm sure you want to know about Saul, Locatelli, lots of other bits and pieces as well. We'll talk about Trent's contract and anything else that you guys want to talk about. Because as always, ladies and gentlemen, this is your show. You let me know the topics you want to talk about and we'll have a bit of fun. It's Saturday night. You know what that means? Well, you don't know what it means, but I'm going to go for it anyway because da-da-da-dum, dee-dee-dee-da-dee-da-da-da. Sabrina! Saturday night and I like the way you move. Jesus, I married an awful dull woman, didn't I, ladies and gentlemen? She's not even giving me the be my baby or anything, do you know what I mean? Out there just looking after number one in the kitchen, having her dinner. No thoughts of a scene. Sorry, what was that, you non-sing-alongy fucker? Go on.
I'm taking a piss.
Saturday night and I like the way you move. There's no fun in my house whatsoever, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a massive fail. My wife set me up for L's. I don't take L's, I take W's. So she better get in here and sing her ass at some point or I'm going to start leaking more pictures of her. Oh, that's how we roll in my gaff, folks. You do that with your missus as well, Rafa. Good. I hope she's more fun than my miserable bitch of a wife. I'm definitely on the sofa. As I said, love, Saturday night and I like the way you move. Jesus, could you be less enthusiastic? One more time. Saturday night and I like the way you move. Jesus Christ, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bit more interesting than that in the bedroom. That's all I'm saying.
That's the way she fucking sings it.
It's not the way she sings it. She sings a full pigtailed up, titties in the air, banging around going da 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 dum. You know I know the whole dance, love. You know I do. You've seen it in action. Yeah, you thought this was going to be about football. Well, bear with us for the first few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. It goes everywhere, all over the shop. It's your birthday, UV27. Happy birthday to you, mate. Lick Shay, thank you for the first super chat of the night as well, dude. Very kind of you. Is she a Man United fan? No, she's even worse. She's even worse, if there is worse. She's a Forest fan. A Forest. There's loads wrong with Forest. You and Mark Goldbridge are the only Forest fans I know. Sorry, Mark. He's not. He definitely isn't. I'm only on a wind-up. He is 100% a dirty mank.
You're alright till December.
I'm alright till December. What's in December?
No, I said Forest.
You're shy. Go away, love. Don't sing along. Go and have your piss or whatever it was you were doing.
I would take it.
Right, it's your birthday. There's loads of birthdays this week, isn't there? Loads of birthdays this week. Circa! Saturday night and I like the way you move. And this is the young one that wants to go on Gogglebox Island with me. I tell you what, folks, I'm going to need to invite a few of you around my house to get the party started. And this is me without any alcohol or anything. Imagine what these poor fuckers have to deal with on a weekly basis. There's nothing wrong with a bit of Wakefield, love. Nothing wrong with it.
Everything's wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with a bit of Wakefield, love. Right, let's get started anyway. Enough of this family nonsense. Let's have a bit of fun. Let's start with some good news, because we haven't had a bit of that in a while. Look at this magnificent man here. 22 years of age, Trent Alexander-Arnold has committed his future to the football club. And of all the contract renewals that we were expecting, this one kind of came out of the blue a little bit, didn't it? I mean, look, we'll take it. It's brilliant. Happy days. I'm over the moon. But I didn't see this one coming. I thought we were going to be hearing an Alisson, a Van Dijk, a Fabinho, maybe a Mohamed Salah. But yeah, brilliant news that Trent Alexander-Arnold signed a new contract at the football club that will keep him here for the foreseeable, perhaps a future Liverpool captain. But what this young man has achieved at such a young age, I think often goes and gets overlooked, because 22, to have achieved and won what he has done, and the style and the grace and the humility of the way he's done it. Another great day for the club to have Trent signing on for a new contract. So absolutely over the moon with that one. But as happy as I am, and it is brilliant, I can't get away from the fact that as each day goes by, ladies and gentlemen, I'm optimistic inside. My heart's beating saying, yes, Craig will get the signings done. But as each other club goes about their business and, each signing gets done, and the Grealish news to City that we all know was going to be happening looks like it's getting a bit further along, and we see the likes of Villa going and getting Leon Bailey, and we see United being linked with players and having Varane in the bag and Sancho in the bag, and we look at Chelsea being linked with some top tier players like Declan Rice and Haaland. I would be lying to you if I said as the days go by my nerves aren't increasing, but I'm still trying to stay optimistic. I'm trying to believe that we will get the business done. Now, let's move on to something that has been doing the rounds a lot today, and that is the news around Saul. I have been reaching out to Spain, but either I'm just being ignored or somebody's not seeing the messages, but I've got nothing back on it. But look, here's what we do know. It's been widely reported today, I think by the Mirror, and then I think Maxi Angelo on Twitter was talking about this as well, that his representatives are going to be coming to the UK apparently tomorrow to try and resolve his future. Now, there's two clubs mainly linked, Manchester United and us. I'd like to think that we're the ones that are in for Saul. I'd like to think that he would come in and be the genuine Yalden replacement, and he would be a very, very good genuine Yalden replacement. But, until we get some absolute concrete certainty on this one, you're wondering. We're wondering what's going on, because we know Rodrigo de Paul has gone to Atleti. We know that, they're willing to let Saul move on. We know that he looks like he has a preference to move to England. I know that Mark was streaming earlier on the United stand talking about Saul. From what I've been led to believe, not by Mark but by others, my own reading, he's not really their priority. They see themselves as looking for the likes of an Ndidi or a real number 66666. Not the devil, by the way, just what I mean, an out and out somebody who does that role, that DM role. I wonder what do you guys think on Saul? His agent lives in England, said Rory McCormick. Well, there you go. I mean, that'll make it handy for him, won't it? We'll get to Lautaro Martinez a little bit later on, folks. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Lautaro Martinez. We do have a little segment coming up on him. Hope we signed somebody who'll be United if United got him, said RSH14. Christian said, Saul, we need him. Cohen Bills and Football Watch Along said, Grealish staying, Jack said it. Jack who? As in Jack Grealish said he's staying. That's not the information that I've got, but would I be happy if Grealish stayed at Villa and didn't go to City? Well, yeah, anything that doesn't strengthen an automatic rival would make me happier, mate. But yeah, I don't know about it, to be honest with you. I have a funny feeling he'll end up at Manchester City. But look, we'll wait and see. Ragvin98 said would prefer Neuhaus. The reason that the Florian Neuhaus links have gone really quiet, mate, is because for all intents and purposes, it looks like he's going to stay another season at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Now, whether that's because of what I told you guys at the start of the window and was reported in Germany that one more year there and then a move to Bayern, but it could be maybe one more year there and a move to Bayern or Liverpool. I don't know. But as of this moment, it looks like Florian Neuhaus will be staying at Borussia Mönchengladbach for at least one more season. So, anything can change in the transfer window as the window gets later on, and if we still haven't sorted out a midfield addition, then maybe that'll be the case. Interestingly, I do have so we had Dave Azzopardi from Talking Wolves on recently to talk about the links for Liverpool to Pedro Neto and Adama Traore. That video was up on the channel, and tomorrow I'm going to be talking to Corey from the West Ham Way, and we're going to be talking about Jarrod Bowen and Liverpool's interest in him. So keep an eye out for that one, because that video was recorded yesterday and will be dropping late tomorrow night after the stream. So loads of stuff coming up on the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Reminds me of the Thiago saga, said George. Yeah, that was a weird one, wasn't it? Because we were being told by a lot of the British-based media, no interest in Thiago, all paper talk, all speculation. But yeah, we all kind of knew, didn't we? We all knew that there had to be something in it, because he wasn't signing on a new deal at Bayern Munich at the time, and there weren't really many other clubs being mentioned with him. There was talk of a potential move back to Barcelona, but yeah, I'll get you. I think that's a good comparison. I suppose what makes a lot of us nervous is when our arch rivals, when United are in and mentioned in the same breath for Saul, you don't want them to get one over on us, do you? Because let's be honest, a lot of us would have liked Jadon Sancho. They went and got Sancho. So, but they would have liked Fabinho at the time, and we went and got Fabinho. So these little battles between the fan bases are always nice if you end up on the winning side of it. So let's just wait and see what happens around Saul. But it does look like his future is going to be resolved fairly swiftly because, he'll want to get settled for the new season wherever it might be. And the price looks like it'll be in and around 40 million quid there or thereabouts, wherever he may go. Now, it could be a few million either way, but that's the latest information on him. And if I do get any word from Spain, I will, of course, let you guys know. Hey Craig, how are you doing? I'm late. I'm good, Slapstick. I'm good. Right, I'm going to tease you a little bit and I'm going to hang off on Lautaro Martinez for a minute because there has been some more news around the Super League. So bear with me as I explain to you why. So I had said to you guys over the past couple of weeks that the investigation for UEFA into... Sorry, I'm just scrolling through my messages here till I get to the one that I want to read out to you guys. So, I told you guys over the last week or so that UEFA had put a pin in their investigation into Barcelona, Juventus and Real Madrid around the whole Super League fiasco. And that reason, as I suggested to you guys, was because of a challenge in the courts in Spain. Well, that challenge has been heard this week, and this is the latest on it. I'm taking a lot of this article from Sky Sports, but, you can take it from loads of different places. So, a joint statement on their website read, FC Barcelona, Juventus and Real Madrid welcome today's court's decision enforcing with immediate effect UEFA's obligation to unwind the actions taken against all European Super League founding clubs, including terminating the disciplinary proceedings against the undersigning 3 clubs and removing the penalties and restrictions imposed on the 9 founding clubs for them to avoid UEFA's disciplinary action. The court backs the request made by the promoters of the Super League, dismisses UEFA's appeal and confirms its warning to UEFA that failure to comply with its ruling shall result in fines and potential criminal liability. The case will be assessed by the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg, which shall review UEFA's monopolistic position over European football. We have the duty to address the very serious issues facing football. UEFA has established itself as the sole regulator, exclusive operator and unique owner of rights of European football competitions. This monopolistic position in conflict of interest is damaging football and its competitive balance. As shown by ample evidence, financial controls are inadequate and they have been improperly enforced. Clubs participating in European competitions have the right to govern their own competitions. Now, I know that was a bit of a mouthful. I know I waffled on for a minute there, but here's the long and short of it. Basically, what Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus, led by, of course, the Real Madrid president Florentino Perez, are trying to do here is show that UEFA have a monopoly. So FIFA worldwide, but UEFA in Europe have a monopoly, meaning they are the only governing body of football and that there are no challenging competitions. So how can it be fair that this one body monopolises the entire sport in Europe and nobody else has a say? Now, look, I suppose there's 2 ways of looking at this. You can look at it from the point of view of, would it be more financially lucrative for the clubs, the 3 remaining and the 9 other clubs, to have signed up to the European Super League and the riches that would have came with it and the money that was being invested in it? Yes, of course it would. It would have been infinitely better for the clubs, but that contradicts everything that we as football fans love about the sport, doesn't it? And this was the whole reason the fume was there at the very start. We don't want this boxed off competition where the same clubs qualify every year and the chance of sporting integrity and sporting merit is all but taken away. There's already a huge wealth gap between the haves and the have-nots in football, and sometimes us as football fans can only look at it through the perspective of the Premier League and our clubs that are maybe at the top of that Premier League and, often playing in European competitions and get the riches that come with that. So most of us are willing to even accept the fact that it would make the clubs better, more wealthy, maybe be able to attract better players, because it's not in the spirit of the game. It's not what we believe in. And it's very, very rare that I will ever come down on the side of UEFA, because there's a whole lot of stuff there that I don't agree with the way UEFA go around trying to enforce the FFP and the way that they promote the sport, the way that they deal with ticketing and lots of other stuff. So they are not perfect, but they have been the governing body for as long as I've been alive and for as long as I can remember. So to me, and this is just a lay person's opinion, somebody who is nothing other than a football fan, certainly not a financial expert and certainly not a legal expert, this to me looks like Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus, and of course the other clubs that signed up to it, and I include Liverpool in that, who have since pulled away. It looks like a last-ditch attempt to hang on to those riches, to hang on to that money. Because if you look at the three clubs in question, I suppose particularly the two Spanish ones, Real Madrid and Barcelona have the most to gain and the most to potentially lose from not being involved in the Super League. In fact, I believe, if my memory is correct, reading over the Super League proposals, I know at least Real Madrid, but maybe one or two other clubs, got even more for being founding founders, if you get where I'm coming from. Their sign-up money, I believe, was even higher than the sign-up money from others. So it stinks to high heaven. I hope when it gets to the court in Luxembourg that it is thrown out and put to bed finally. Because look, the Champions League isn't perfect. The way that UEFA run things certainly isn't perfect. But a big part of the reform of the Champions League recently, a reform that I don't particularly like, any journalist I've spoken to doesn't particularly like, and seems very clunky and non-streamlined. A lot of that was to actually pacify the clubs that we're talking about, the bigger clubs, to try and make sure that they do get into the Champions League more regularly, whether it be through the back door, whether it be through their ranking in Europe, their history of previous, the history of their previous runs in European Cups and stuff like that. So I just want it to fuck off at this point. I want everybody involved with it to disappear, and I want the whole fiasco to just piss off, because as a European football fan, and I said it before, I'm going to say it again, I don't want to be supporting any competition that is boxed off and is a closed league. We're not American sports. American sports were set up and they do their thing in their own way. It's brilliant, it's enjoyable, there's a culture around it. That culture has been there for many generations and they love it. And I'm sure that they would be equally as upset if the tables were turned here. So this isn't a dig at America. This is more a dig at the fact that I don't want this to be Americanized. I want this to be the way it is. I want this to be available. Who doesn't love the idea of a club like, I don't know, pick a club, Bruges, Ajax, any of these clubs, maybe undervalued. Ajax with that run to the semi-final a few years ago. Spurs making it to the final. And I know I'm waffling here, but this really winds me up. And the thing that gets me the most is, this top 6 clubs now might not be the top 6 clubs in 10 years' time. Look at how it's evolved over the last few years. Look at how Spurs have come along, for instance. Look at how Leicester went and won the Premier League. So I hope that this burns in flames. I really do. I hope that UEFA can get their act together finally and put together somewhat of a decent legal challenge, because they made a complete bollocks of FFP in the way they went about that, and the fact that City wrangled out of it in a loophole didn't necessarily mean City didn't do anything wrong. It just meant that UEFA's own rules and the statute of limitations over how they can investigate and how long screwed them in that one. So look, that's my say on the whole thing about the Super League, but I just hope it disappears, because I don't want Liverpool to have anything to do with it. It would probably be the catalyst for me to stop watching football. Certainly to stop watching Liverpool if we were to sign up to this fiasco of a Super League. Anyway, I want to take John W. Henry's face off the screen there, because I don't even want to look at it. Right, what have we got? We need owners who love and understand football, not just businessmen who are in it for money. Look, in an ideal scenario, mate, yes, they're spot on there, but those type of people are few and far between, aren't they? I mean, they do exist, of course, to some extent. We all look at Leicester City's owners with envy, because they genuinely care about the fan base, they genuinely care about the betterment of the club. So yeah, I'm with you, but I don't always want this argument to be around who hates the owners and who loves the owners, because the honest truth is that they've done good and they've done bad. They're not the worst, they're not the best. They could do better, they could do worse. So I'm on the side of time to shut up. It's time to stop telling us that we can match all these clubs, and time to actually just pony up some dough. So look, here's another example that I'll talk about. Sorry, I'm just going through all my images here, because this was doing the rounds over the last few days. I'd even seen I'd even seen Aldo posted actually. Let me just get onto Twitter so I can grab it up and give you guys a flavour of what I'm talking about. Right, so we talk about net spends a lot in football, right? And net spend isn't the be all and end all, because as I've said before, there are ways to manipulate a net spend to look good or bad. For example, if your club is shit at selling players, and you sell them for low fees, but you buy for high fees, your net spend is going to look bigger. So it isn't the one-stop shop to measure a football club's success or their ambition, but it does play a little part in it. And let's just look at this. So with the addition of Sancho and Varane, this is the updated net spend of the top five, or of these clubs over the last 5 years. United 622 million, Manchester City 518 million, Villa 331 million, Chelsea 230 million, Spurs 201 million, and Liverpool has spent 159.7 million net in the last 5 years. So Villa, West Ham, Brighton and Fulham, Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, all ahead of Liverpool in net spend. All ahead of Liverpool. Now, how can we be more affected by the global pandemic than all of these clubs? I've understand, and I'm thankful to you guys for explaining the wage structure in more detail. I've had some brilliant responses on that one. But I fail to understand how we haven't got two pence to rub together. I know we're trying to renew contracts right now, and I'm praying deep down inside, I'm trying to stay positive, and I'm saying we will make signings, we will get them over the line, we're trying to be coy, but we've been burned before. So I understand everybody who is frustrated out there. I guess I'm just trying to put a positive spin on it, because I believe, do you believe though, Craig? I hope for a positive outcome in this window. And look, I understand that renewing 7 players' contracts is going to take up a lot of money. I understand it's going to take a big chunk of it, but we were told that the £536 million that Jerry Cardinal and their investment in 10% of FSG, that some of that money was going to be used to help cover the losses of the pandemic. And if that's the case, then you go back to, well, how much net spend do we have available each window? How much money is there to back the manager? Jurgen Klopp is a once-in-a-generation manager. He's the best manager of my lifetime managing Liverpool Football Club. Now, of course, there was Kenny Dalglish, there was Rafael Benitez, and there was many greats before. But nobody has filled me with as much confidence at the reins of this football club than Jurgen Klopp. To do what he has done against the might and the financial power of other clubs is absolutely unbelievable. So I guess what we're all feeling, and what we all say is, where's the money, John? Where's the money? Because you're only going to have Jurgen Klopp for probably 3 more years. We want a dynasty. Klopp wants a dynasty. Back the manager. He's not asking for the sun, the moon and the stars. I know that Kloppo will come out and he will say all the right things to camera, and he'll talk about what the club can and can't do, and they can only work on their budgets. But I know as well that deep down he's pissed off about Genie going. I know deep down that there are certain things that he doesn't like, but he's such a statesman and such a leader that he wants to galvanise us all and keep us together. So I'm just getting a bit frustrated, ladies and gents. We need 300 million alone for our bench. See, Sonia, I don't think we do need that much, mate. Let's look at it this way. Saul comes in the door as an example, and we get the attacking player in. Don't know who that might be. You can say Bowen, you can say Neto, you can say Ikone, you can say whoever you want. Pick a wide player. So let's say we get those 2 in. We free up the squad places to allow these guys to come in by moving on Origi, Shaqiri. Now, we've moved on a lot of players, but what you'll notice is a lot of the players that we've moved on, your Wilsons, your Grujić's, they're all players that were out on loan and didn't take up squad places last year. So we really haven't freed up particularly overseas places in our squad yet. So that's something that I'm sure Michael Edwards and that are working on, and one of the reasons why the likes of Shaqiri has been linked with a move away. Because those overseas squad places are valuable places. What have we got? Philip Hunt donated $2.99 to a super chat. Thank you, Philip. Once Klopp goes, I'm scared of what happens next. I don't think you're alone, Philip. I think that most rational Liverpool fans watching right now, yes, a romantic part of us all wants Stevie G to come in and do really well. He's doing a cracking job at Rangers and looks like he wouldn't shirk under the responsibility. But it's still a big job. Whatever we think, how much of a legend he is, and he would have sway and he would have pull, but I just think Jurgen Klopp is a generational manager for us, and it just feels like we'll all be kicking ourselves if in 2024 Jurgen Klopp takes a sabbatical from football and let's say we've picked up maybe one more trophy over that time or something. It just feels like we're missing an opportunity here to really look back at a time when Jurgen Klopp has put us very much so back on our perch. And I think that's what frustrates a lot of us is we understand Klopp's time is limited at the club and we don't want to be looking back with any regrets. We are realistic. I actually think most of our fan base are somewhat realistic with the amount of money that they believe that we can spend. Yeah, we all want the big transfers. We all want the Mbappes. We all want the Haalands. But we're realistic. We understand that the way our club has always been is we make superstars, we don't sign them. But we do sign players like Mane, like Jota, like Salah, who develop into really good players. Van Dijk, probably the closest thing I've seen to a huge money nailed on transfer that Liverpool could make. Thiago's a little bit different. His age profile and his contract situation meant it was just right time, right place scenario and a deal that was great value. Anyway, let's move on. Loads of people want me to talk about this gentleman here, Locatelli. It's going to be a very short conversation. Locatelli is most likely going to Juventus and absolutely will not be coming to Liverpool, as per Fabrizio Romano and as per most of us have been telling everybody for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. Liverpool aren't a reactionary football club. Locatelli had a very good Euros, but that doesn't mean that we're going to react off that and go and sign the guy. So he's not coming to Liverpool. I don't know what else to say to you. You know, I hate to be the messenger, the bearer of bad news and all, but that's the truth. He's not going to come. Looks like Juventus. Pavel Nedved has been speaking about it, that they hope that they can agree a deal for the player. They're pretty convinced they're on a good way to agreeing a deal. And Fabrizio Romano has come out and said unequivocally that no, he's not. No interest in Liverpool, not going to Liverpool, no chance for Liverpool. It doesn't get much clearer cut than that, folks, does it, to be honest with you? 1975 Jamrock. Nice to see you back again, dude. Hope you're well. Too many LFC fans, I think you meant to say, act like this is FIFA and Football Manager. We still barely don't have enough money for homegrown and we need to move 3 non-foreign players to get new players. Again, mate, your comments are always very well thought out, very well educated, and I don't disagree with what you have to say. Now, on the homegrown part of it, Jamrock, what I will say is I'm very excited at the youth that we have at the club. Probably like yourself. I look at Harvey Elliott, I look at Cade Gordon, I look at Curtis Jones, and I see tremendous talent. I look at Connor Bradley, and you see tremendous talent. So we're very good in that sense. And, you know, there's no guarantees though, is there? Like that last step from academy to the first team is the toughest jump to make. But you always make very good points, mate. And I you know, not that I ever want to argue or disagree with somebody, but fella, you could just as easily be sitting in this chair because you definitely know what you're talking about. So if I had a cap, I'd tip it to you, sir. But, you know, well played once again. Right, so there's a poll there at the chat that Connor stuck into the live chat to say FSG, out, undecided or in. And it's, you know, a pretty straightforward vote. It was a quick vote. There was only 210 votes in it. But of the 210 votes, 62% of our live chat right now wanted FSG out. 19% are undecided and 18% are in. Now, I suppose I would fall on the outside of undecided, if that makes sense. So I would lean more towards FSG out. And the only thing I suppose that would in any way keep me even semi on the fence is the fact that they run the club so frugally and we're not on a load of debt. That's probably the only thing that's keeping me from losing my marbles right now, because I do believe they're stingy. I do believe they could do more, but I also don't ever want a Hicks and Gillette scenario again. So my worry has always been, you know, to use Ian Ayre's words, be careful what you wish for, because what are the next owner is going to be like? So let's play out a scenario where, let's just say some Middle Eastern money comes in and some somebody from the Middle East comes in, very wealthy person, loads of money to throw at the football club, comes in, throws money at the football club, we start winning more stuff. Will it feel the same? There's a couple of things on this. Like, would it feel, if we had City's owners now, would we feel that Premier League title and that European Cup that we won were as valuable? Because I've got to say, I wouldn't. Hand on heart. I'm not saying I wouldn't celebrate it, and I'm not saying I wouldn't love to see superstars coming in. But I do believe in doing things in the right way to some extent. So there's more to this, and like, I'm not going to get into the humanitarian side of it and where this money might have come from or off the back of who it might have come from and all of that, because nobody in business is squeaky clean. Very few people don't have skeletons in their closet. But my biggest fear is that Liverpool's owners sell up, somebody comes in and buys it, whether it be from China, whether it be from the Middle East, whether it be from America, whoever, and either pulls the Glazers and shits a load of debt against the club and starts asset stripping, or we get what happened to Malaga, what happened to Angie, what happened to a few other football clubs, where somebody comes in, gets bored of it, doesn't get immediate success, and then all of a sudden starts just selling off shit and Liverpool become a nothing club. Because it's happened. It's been seen time and time again. So that's the only thing, I suppose, that keeps me from going all the way over to, like, out. And I often wonder if they know that with a lot of our fan base and that they play on that. I wonder. Now, I'm not saying they watch my show and they're like, what's Craig one? I mean, just as a whole, I wonder, is that fear? The fear of the unknown, or the fear of the devil you know? I wonder, is that what keeps those that are still in the middle, if you get me? I hope that makes sense, folks. Surin, thank you very much for the super chat. You're very kind. We need someone who knows what Liverpool is all about and not just a payday. Ideally, Michael, yes, of course, mate. I agree with you. No billionaires get to the top by playing by the rules. Yeah, again, I don't disagree with you on that, mate. I mean, you got to trample on a few people on the way up. I would say that's definitely true, and everybody would probably have some skeletons in their closet when it comes to the financials. Ghost Wolf said this is why FSG must stay. And look, I understand that. I get you. I won't jump down anybody's throat who's FSG in or FSG out if they present a valid reason why. Which most of you guys do, which is why I love coming on and having a chat with you, because we get to have a rational conversation. It's not just FSG out and that's the end of it, or FSG saved the club and that's the end of it. There's nuance to this, isn't there? And the truth lies in the middle a lot of the time. Let's move on to this gentleman here. Lautaro Martinez. Now, you beautiful people. Before I get to Lautaro, 1975 Jamrock has put in another comment. Thank you, sir. Said, also, fans won't want to hear this, but there will be a Super League. The rule against UEFA will make way for La Liga and Serie A, allowing it Premier League and League 1. I'll tell you what, mate, I'm intrigued to see the challenge in the court in Luxembourg. I'm genuinely intrigued, mate, to see how that works out. Because I agree with you that it does look like, and it's been muted for years, for a long time, that they are pretty feckin' determined, to be honest. But we also know that the Premier League clubs have signed up to this clause that, you know, they'd be fined a whole load of money. I think it was 150 million or something if they sign up to a Super League project. And there was the fines from already pulling out of the Super League project. So I'm interested, mate, to see how that works out and how that legal challenge in the court in Luxembourg comes to fruition, because it will, as you rightly say, have a big bearing on what happens with European football and whether we see another Super League. Because I'm with you on that one. I don't think it's gone away. Right, anywho. Lautaro Martinez. So, I don't know where this originated from. It seems to be 90 minutes, a little bit of the echo, a little bit on Twitter. And there's been very few transfers that I've wished to happen, that I've wished into going from Twitter chat to existence. But genuinely, Lautaro Martinez to me, looks like a Liverpool player. He would fit into our system. He could do the job to the centre. He could drop deep. He could drift in from wide. I like Lautaro Martinez. I've watched a lot of the guy. Hand on heart, I thought he was Barcelona bound about a year ago. But having watched them at the Copa America, having watched them with Inter, and look, his form fell away a little bit. He wasn't as good as he was in the first half of the season. In the second, bit of a mixed bag at the Copa America, but I do love this guy, and I do think that maybe it's more that I hope that the links are true and that there might be something to it. I'm very, what's the phrase, cynical about the links, but God, I'd like this lad at Liverpool Football Club, because, you know, if Bobby's legs are starting to go a little bit, or we're looking for somebody in a similar mould who can do similar things, who could be a 9.5, a 10, this guy could do it. I've never believed in a lot of the links from Italy. I've never believed in the Insigne stuff. I didn't like the idea or believe in the Chiesa stuff because of the price tag, and I'm sure that he'd be expensive. But what we have seen at Inter Milan is that they've sold Hakimi to PSG, so they freed up some cash. We know that they're not going to let Nicolo Barella leave. They see him as a future captain. We know that Romelu Lukaku, who Chelsea were sniffing around, doesn't want to leave, and they want to keep him. So I wonder, is he the guy who they potentially would let go for the right money? Now, what I haven't seen mentioned, personally, is a price tag. Now, it's all very well and good me sitting here saying, yeah, I'd love a bit of Lautaro Martinez at Liverpool. Who wouldn't? But I would imagine he wouldn't come cheap. And I can't lie. I can't be a hypocrite and say that I believe that there was no way Liverpool were spending 86 million quid on Chiesa, and then in the same breath say I'm confident that we'd go out and spend what I would imagine would be certainly north of £60 million. I'd imagine substantially north of that on Lautaro Martinez. So what do you guys think? 1, do you think there's anything to it? 2, would you take him at Liverpool? And 3, where do you think he'd fit in? How do you think he'd work in the system? Jamrock, again, thank you for the super chat, dude. Said Bundesliga will have a decision. Do we allow our teams to do the same or be left behind? If the Bundesliga and Ligue 1 allow their teams to enter, the Premier League will allow. I suppose the big challenge will be just, do UEFA have a monopoly, mate, or are they genuinely the custodians of European football? I think that's what this will all boil down to, and it's a very interesting thought, because in most other lines of business, a monopoly is frowned upon. So, do you look at football as a business? Is it something for the greater good? I think we all know in this day and age it is a business, whether we like it or not. And if it is a business, then no business should have a monopoly, in my opinion. So, the spirit of challenging it, if I believed it was to stop that monopoly, I could understand. But it's the way that we know why they're doing it. It's not because of what they claim to be the greater good in football. It is purely to ring fence off a shit ton of money for the top clubs and create this competition where TV revenues are through the roof and the rich get richer and the top clubs remain the top clubs forever, with very few exceptions or very few breaking through. And that's the part of it that's never sat well with me. And the non-sporting merit part. Right, Sean has said Martinez too much money for the club. We got Coutinho from Inter and he was great, so Martinez will be too. That's a fact. Oh, well, I mean, I don't think we'd be getting Martinez for the 8.5 million that we paid Inter for Felipe Coutinho. But I do like the link you've made there, mate. Well played. Reminds me of Aguero. Yes, I can absolutely see that. All right. I really like Lautaro Martinez. It's one of those I've never let myself believe that he may come to Liverpool, but I do really like him. Also, let me just take a second to say thank you to everyone that has subscribed recently. If you haven't done so, please do take a second, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video. From tomorrow onwards, all of the Late Night Agenda shows will be sponsored by Manscaped. You've seen me do the Manscaped ads before. I'm not even going to pitch it to you now. I'm just letting you know that from tomorrow onwards, Manscaped will be sponsoring the Anfield Agenda Late Night Agenda. So delighted to be back working with the guys at Manscaped. Yeah, your balls will thank you later and all of that jazz. Also, got a couple of great interviews coming up on Craig Station. I recorded with Pieface, that's coming out on Tuesday. I recorded with Al Foran, who is an impressionist that does loads of fantastic stuff. You guys had asked me to reach out to Rory's stories. Now, Rory's stories might be something that mainly Irish people understand. So he's a Liverpool fan, he's somebody who does comedy sketches, but he's also somebody who's a huge advocate for mental health and goes around giving speeches. In fact, he gave a speech to my daughter's school on mental health. Reached out to Rory Stories today, and it looks like that's all systems go, so we'll be having him on soon. Mark Goldberg will be coming on for a chat on Craig Station as well, non-football related, just two lads chatting shit about anything, and lots of other great stuff as well. So get yourselves over to Craig Station. There is a link pinned to the top of the live chat right now. I love and hate the way every time Connor puts the link up, he puts an egg beside the link just to wind me up, but yeah, please do go over there, subscribe to that, because first video with Pieface is coming out on Tuesday. There are a few teasers on Twitter, on my Twitter account, at Craig Holden, if you haven't given me a follow on there. But look, we've got more time to go, so let's keep talking. Craig being the boss to Mark for once, said Tom. Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. In any work and stuff I've done with Mark, he's always been sound. Like, there's never been, I'm the bigger content creator, you do what you're told. He doesn't work like that. That's not his attitude. It's one of the reasons I get on so well with him. He's just a sound down to earth fella. Jack, mate, I've been trying to get Addison. Well, you know, I've been lucky enough to get Jack Mate on for a chat on here before, and you know, I sent him a DM, but I don't want to keep pushing that out. I know how busy he is, but certainly Jack Mate is somebody I'd love to get back on. The Irish guy, I've already spoken to him, Michael Ramsey. He's going to be coming on in a couple of weeks' time as well for a chat on Craig Station. So yeah, get yourselves over there, because the interviews are going to be class. I'm working on a really good news show, and I've listened to you, Mick Wall, because you've given me some good feedback. So I'm going to do the news show probably as a live segment, because I'm working on a part of the show that I want you guys to be involved in. It is going to be a show about positivity, about good news, about trying to lift people's spirits. So loads of good stuff coming up, loads of it. I hope. I hope I don't shit the bed, but anyway, we'll see. Craig, could you explain the Pogba situation? I'm confused. Certainly, mate, my pleasure. Right, so yesterday, it was the day before, because I was off yesterday, there was these mad links coming out of absolutely nowhere saying that Mino Raiola had offered Paul Pogba to Liverpool. Now, if anybody believes that, I've got a couple of bridges that I'd like to sell you, because it is complete nonsense. I mean, look, you and I know it's not going to happen. One, I'd imagine, again, I'm imagining, because I don't know this for a fact, but I would say keeping as far away from Mino Raiola as possible at times would be probably best advised for any football club who doesn't like the what seems to be a never-ending array of destabilising tactics to try and engineer moves or higher wages for his clients, which is his job as an agent. But yeah, so look, it's nonsense. Never going to happen. I don't even know how somebody printed it, to be honest. It's such rubbish. What Irish team do you support? Shelbourne, Curtis, Shelbourne. Mick Wall, Hearts 1, Celtic 1 after 75 minutes. Thank you for that, mate. Any more news on Saul? Just that it looks like his agent is going to be talking to some clubs in the next day or two, mate. That's what's being reported in the Mirror and by a couple of people on Twitter. Yeah, again, one more person I want to talk about tonight is this gentleman here, Jarrod Bowen. So look, when we'd all seen the links to Jarrod Bowen, I think it's fair to say none of us were blown away in a wave of positivity and excitement. Doesn't mean it wouldn't have potentially been a good deal. And I will be talking to Corey from what's the name of his channel again? It's not the West Ham Way. Is it the West Ham Way? Yeah, West Ham Way. Sorry, Corey. Tomorrow, about the Jarrod Bowen situation. Now, I'll give you a little sneak preview, even though I haven't recorded it with him yet. I know for a fact that he believes that Jarrod Bowen's going nowhere. His message I said to him, Corey, any chance you could come on, mate, for a chat around Jarrod Bowen and links to Liverpool? And he said, yeah, happy to, mate, no problem, but he's not going anywhere, so, it's going to be a negative one. So I look forward to hearing what Corey has to say. And again, thank you to Dave Azzopardi from Talking Wolves, who came on for a chat around the Pedro Neto Adama Traore stuff as well. And one more thing, ladies and gentlemen, before I hand it over to you guys for some more questions. This week's Anfield Agenda One Football News Show came out yesterday. It's had 9.3k views. You know 10k is the magic number for us for a lot of reasons. So if you could do me a favour, it's about 10 minutes long. If you haven't watched it yet, please do. We'll give you a good roundup of all the Liverpool transfer news. Bit of good news in there around Van Dijk as well. It would mean a lot to us because each time that hits 10k, it helps us, put it that way. I feel Bowen is a smoke screen, says missing. I do love a smoke screen, mate. I won't lie to you. I do love a smoke screen. Mick said the guy from Wolves was good. Yeah, Dave knows his stuff, mate. He's if my memory's right, I think Dave works with Football Manager as well. But definitely Dave Azzopardi is somebody who I enjoy talking with. Very knowledgeable guy, lovely fella, and defo knows everything about Wolves. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mick, because I always enjoy catching up with Dave. He's a researcher for Football Manager. There you go. I knew he did something with Football Manager. Craig, will they take Origi in the swap deal plus money? If yes, I'll buy his Uber for him. And do you know what, Quinch? I'll add to that. Me and Connor have €250 in Ryanair vouchers from the time we were supposed to go to Anfield last April, still lying around. So I'll help. You sort the Uber. Me and Connor will pay for the Ryanair flights. Do you know what more can we do, fella? Look, I know that sounds a bit disrespectful to Divock, and I don't mean it to, but I would be lying if I said that I don't hope that we move Origi and Shaqiri on in this window. I'm grateful for their time at Liverpool, but I won't lie. I do want both of them to move on in this window. Shaqiri links or not getting sold at all. Shaqiri has told the club he would like to leave. That's been widely reported. And even speaking, I think, to a Swiss publication, I'm not sure what the name of the newspaper was at the time, he said the very same thing. He reiterated those comments that he's informed Liverpool that if an offer comes in that's suitable to the club, and that's something that works for him, of course, as well, which is really important, he will move on. So I would say yes, Shaqiri will move on. Most links have been to Italy. There have been some to Turkey and a couple of vague ones to Spain. But if I was a betting person, I'd suggest that maybe a move to Italy could be on the cards for Shaqiri. Basuma, Golden Boot incoming, said the O-goal. Yeah, the whole Basuma thing's gone really, really quiet, hasn't it? Which, again, doesn't necessarily mean it's bad news. But what I will say is, if you're a Graham Potter now and you're at Brighton and you've just lost Ben White, you're not going to want to lose another one of your most promising players, are you? You're not going to want to lose Basuma as well. So, I don't know if it's gone quiet because maybe the club are hanging off, because what we've been told in the media was, and by in the media I mean by the media, not saying that I'm in the media, I just mean told in the media, that priority is the attacking player and midfielder is the latter, which kind of goes against the whole story of, I suppose, Saul's agents talking with Liverpool and United or English clubs over the coming day or two. So yeah. Frank said you're fit. Is it weird, Frank, that I read that as you're fat? Because I'm so used to reading that, mate. So, thank you for your kind words and it not being fat, because I am fat, but you're very kind, mate. Thank you. Sabrina! You're dumped. I'm running off with Frank. He said he'd sing Saturday night with me. Not right, Frank? I'm going to sing it, Frank, and I know you're going to sing it at home. Saturday night, and I like the way you move. I heard you, Frank. I heard you, man. Well played. What have we got? Thoughts on Kovacic? I don't know what I'm supposed to say on that, mate. Doing well at Chelsea. I don't know, do I think he's a good player? Yes, he's a decent player. Aston Villa to sign Leon Bailey and Grealish to City, said Vernon. Yeah, it looks... Look, somebody in the chat earlier on said that I don't think Grealish will leave. I think that he will. And yeah, Leon Bailey is going to be moving from Leverkusen to Aston Villa. I don't know how I feel about Leon Bailey, to be honest with you, because I've seen sometimes, as I've said, where he looks really raw and just not there, not good enough, and then you see other glimpses of him where you think, oh, there's something to the kid. So look, we'll find out. He's going to be a Villa player. And Villa have been quite good with their business in recent years. So let's wait and see. That's great business for Villa, said Brian. It is, and again, another player leaving the Bundesliga, another young player who developed in the Bundesliga, now coming to the Premier League. Actually, I could do with a few more mods. One sec, I'm going to add a few there now. Mick, you're now a mod. There was somebody else. Dylan, are you in the chat, mate? Dara, is Dylan in here? I'm looking to... I have one more mod that I promised I'd add, and I'm just struggling to find him in the chat. So Mick, you are a mod man, I should say. And I need one more, but I'm trying to find the one that Dara Azizi asked me to mod, and I just can't find him in the chat. Okay, I'm going to add one more there off my own backing. Walter White, there you go, sir. You have been modded. And there's one more that Dara Azizi wants me to add, and I know it's a Dylan, but I can't find which one it is. Thoughts on the Romero deal? You mean the centre back to potentially Spurs? Is it Spurs? I didn't. Liverpool were linked with him during the Copa America, and I didn't understand the link because I didn't see that he was all that, to be honest. But you know, if he goes to Spurs, which I think is where he's headed to, if my memory's right, they tried to get Jules Koundé, that didn't work out. Koundé looks he's on his way to Chelsea. I'm still waiting for. Dylan M is not here. That's who it is. Okay, well, if I see him, then Dara, next time remind me and I'll add him. You've spoken on Lautaro. I've just joined. Yes, mate, but happy to have a little chat again. So again, let me just bring Lautaro Martinez up on the screen for those that are coming in a little bit late. So look, the stuff on Lautaro Martinez, I would say, is from what I would class as the highest tier of sources. So 90 min to me are... how do I say this? I don't like to be negative, so wouldn't be in my top tier. I have no ins with them. I don't interact with anybody that does stuff with them, so I don't know where they get their stuff from. So it's not just them though. The Echo have ran with a story, I think, and a few others on Twitter. And I'd love Martinez at Liverpool. I'd absolutely love it. And I could make 20 arguments as to why he'd be a great signing. And I hope that the links are true, and I hope that there's something to it. But I doubt it because of the price point. But a lot of people who are on Twitter will know who Graham Kelly is on Twitter. Graham Kelly is somebody who I don't know on a personal basis. I have met once. I did do some stuff on a couple of podcasts with. But I will say one thing. Nobody is always right on all things Liverpool related because it's impossible to be. But if ever I would hang my hat on somebody that does have a very good finger on the pulse of what's going on at Liverpool Football Club, Graham Kelly is probably the closest person on Twitter that I would hang my hat on. Now, of course, he doesn't get everything right. He never claims to. But what he has said caught my attention the other day. I'm paraphrasing here a little bit because he was replying to somebody. And he said, one of the names we've been linked with would make your head fall off, or would make heads fall off. Now, you can read from that what you want, and I'm paraphrasing. It might have been worded slightly differently, but I hope that what Graham means by that is that it's so exciting that we wouldn't believe we'd be linked with such a player. Now, I can't speak for Graham, so I don't know what he meant by it, but you know, maybe my optimistic side read it from that. Mick, my pleasure, mate, and thank you for all your great input as well to the channel, buddy. Martinez is probably 60 to 85 million, said Slapstick. I think you've probably hit the sweet spot there, buddy, yeah. And that's kind of what makes me feel like it's rather unrealistic, but even on the lower side slapstick of what you've said there, mate, let's say 60 million with a few in add-ons, you'd like to think we're capable of it, wouldn't you? Sorry, I've got something falling down my tooth. You'd like to think you're capable of it, or we're capable of it, but, well, if you're like me, you're certainly not capable of whipping out 60 million, mate. So yeah, let's wait and see. But Jesus, it's been annoying, hasn't it? I won't lie to you. Like, I'm going to call a spade here for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. I'm an eternal optimist, but has it pissed me off looking around at what's going on in the Premier League right now? They're getting Sancho and Varane, City making moves on Grealish, having a pop to try to get Harry Kane as well. Aston Villa again out there doing business. Spurs doing some business, whether I rate the business or not, it doesn't matter. Arsenal signing Ben White and somebody else that they brought in there as well. Everybody else seems to have money, but we're getting the 2022 was going to be the big year for the rebuild at Liverpool, and it hurts my soul every time I read the words. And then I try to understand the fact that we're trying to renew players' contracts and understand that talk takes a lot of money, which it does. There's no denying that, because you've loyalty bonuses, you've obviously got raises and agents fees and all this other stuff that adds into the cost of renegotiating players' contracts. But how is it that every other club seem to manage it, and we always seem to be scratching our arses going, how? Where's the money, John? Where's the money? I'm trying to stay positive, but I won't lie. There's been times here at home where I've been screaming at the walls going, how the f*** this club linked with this player and yet we haven't got 2p to rub together? Harry said, Craig, Fabrizio said that Martinez has a clause of 100 million. If that's the case, I don't see us spending big for him. Well, I would imagine that the 100 million clause would be euro, and if that, again, I'm just guessing here, that would be about 86, 87 million, which would be kind of equivalent to the links to Chiesa, which I dismissed because of that very price point. But then again, just because somebody has a buyout clause, that doesn't mean that's the only price that you can get them for. It means if you want to go in and trigger that clause and leave the club with no real option in it, you go in, you lodge a check for 100 million euro, whatever the buyout is, to Serie A, and then you can exercise that. But the way we do transfers and the way a lot of clubs do transfers is in installments, so we defo won't be going and lashing 100 mil down on the table anytime soon. Next LFC captain said, calling Dr. Jones. I love that name. Now you're going to have to make me do it, mate. Jones, calling Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones, wake up now. Had to do it, mate. Your name made me do it. Don't blame me. Anyway, Dr. Jones, a little bit of aqua there for anybody who didn't know. They weren't just a one-hit wonder. They had 2 or 3 songs that were decent. If only I could turn back time. See? I know the repertoire. Anyway, next captain, Big Verger straight to Trent, said, calling Dr. Jones. To me, I said this the other day, mate, Verge or Robbo. Right now, if we were to pick a new captain tomorrow, I don't think Trent is there yet. So I'd go Verge or Robbo. But Trent definitely looks like a future Liverpool captain. Craig, Haaland to Chelsea scares me the most. The guy is a monster. Himanshu, thank you for the comment, buddy. You know what baffles me though, mate? I don't disagree with you, by the way. The idea of Haaland to any club in the Premier League scares me, but what baffles me, but at the same time I think I understand why, is the links from Manchester City to Harry Kane and not to Haaland. Because if you look at it on face value, you sign Haaland, you probably pay similar money than you pay for Harry Kane, but you're getting a player who has 13 years left in his career, 14, 15 years left in his career. So you sign him to your club, you keep him for 5, 6 years, you still have a huge sell-on value down the line if time comes for him to move. So when I look at what's going on at City and I look at the links to Harry Kane, it seems to be one thing and one thing only. Guardiola has a limited time left. They want that Champions League and they are willing to bank and go big on a player who is in the prime of his career, although maybe just on the latter side of it, to guarantee or to try and guarantee that. And I'm baffled as to why Haaland isn't the answer there. I really, really am. Like, from a business perspective, it doesn't make any sense to me, but from just purely trying to win something now, I guess I can kind of get it from that perspective. If they can sign Haaland for 150 million, same as Kane, and you have a superstar. That's my point, mate. I don't get it. Like, if it was Liverpool right now, and Jurgen Klopp was suddenly handed the money to go and sign a striker, and both these guys were our options, 100%. Not even 1% of me wouldn't want to go and get Haaland over Kane. So it can only be a play for the Champions League in my head. That's the only thing I can think of, is that they know that they have a manager who is right up there at the top of world football. Somebody who, whether you want to call him a checkbook manager or not, we cannot deny Pep Guardiola's footballing knowledge, his success, and the way his teams play. I'll credit Pep Guardiola. I know others call him a checkbook manager. I don't care. I think he's brilliant. So's Jurgen Klopp. And Manchester City fans will never get the feeling when Pep leaves that they're going to have a what-if scenario. What if the board had have backed them more? What if we had have got this player or that player? They'll feel like the board supported the manager as much as they could. We're going to have a feeling when Klopp leaves, if things keep going, of, shit, could we have done better? Did we waste the time of having one of the best managers in the world? Did we make the most of it? Did we maximise what we could have done with Jurgen at the club? And to some extent the answers will be yes. We've done what we could. The training ground, building the club sustainably for the future, attracting in young talent, bringing in great coaches, lots of positives there. But I still feel the owners haven't backed them enough. I genuinely still feel that they could do a little bit more. City have a homegrown player issue, that's why, said 1975 Jamrock. Yeah, look, this is something that we mere mortals often forget about, dude, isn't it? That the homegrown player thing or the overseas player more so, is a problem with squad places. Now, a lot of the times, club like Chelsea and others, Chelsea are probably the prime example of loaning players out around Europe, gaining experience, and if they don't work out, you move them on and you make a profit anyway, which has been a very good revenue stream for Chelsea. Whatever you think about it, whether you're for it or against it, it's proved to have been a very good revenue stream. Manchester City technically have their city brands of clubs, although I'm not aware. I'm sure there may be one or two who've come through the systems, but I'm not aware of them actually being that beneficial to them with regard to bringing players through to play for Manchester City in England. Dylan Murphy in the room, Craig, said Rob Shepherd. Thank you, buddy. Let me go and find Mr. Dylan. Where are you, sir? Dylan, do us a favour, buddy. Give us a thumbs up or something in the chat so I can whack a mod onto you, sir. Chimicus LFC 4L wants to know. Yeah, I'm there's big goods and bads for me with Costa Simicus and what I've seen. I loved his reading of the Hertha Berlin goalkeeper's throw out for the goal the other day. His reading of that and his execution of it and his pass into the box was brilliant, but he gave away a needless free kick for one of the goals, and it was a little bit suspect defending at times. But again, you can see glimpses of why we signed him, and you can see he definitely has an engine on him. That's one thing I'll definitely say. So I'm hoping for some more opportunities for Costa Simicas in pre-season. Obviously Robbo is our number one left back, but we've got 2 60-minute games on Thursday against Bologna. I know, it's weird, isn't it? 2 60-minute games, but I suppose I can understand it because they probably want to give everybody an hour, 2 teams of an hour. So we'll be doing them in the game on the channel as well. Right, 5 or 6 more minutes before we finish up. People saying Chelsea are the best team in Europe is just silly. Everyone suddenly forgot their league campaign. I mean, they are the best team in Europe, mate. They won the Champions League. Now, I know where you're coming from, and I get you, but I promise you, if we won the Champions League and finished 4th in the league, I'd be sitting here calling Liverpool the best club in Europe. If United won the Champions League and finished 4th in the league, United fans would be calling United the best team in Europe, because that is kind of how you measure the best team in Europe, isn't it? Really, you win the European Cup. Now, I get where you're coming from. They didn't have as good a league campaign as they could have, but, you know, I think they'll definitely be strong this season, and the league title race is going to be a belter this year between City, Liverpool, United and Chelsea, and maybe a surprise package or two. But I get where you're coming from, but, you know, the kind of is the measure of who is the best club in Europe, really, isn't it? Sing Hey Jude for us, Craig. Na 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 na, choo choo choo, Judah 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 Judah. My next door neighbours must think that I have some more stuff wrong with me. Tuchel better than Klopp? I don't think so. I mean, very good manager, very similar attributes to Klopp. Very technically proficient, but I wouldn't swap Klopp for anybody. Craig, are you a gamer? Well, I've got game, motherfucker, but no, I don't play many games, mate. Although I'm going to do a little bit on Craig Station, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a little bit of gaming on Craig Station just to see how bad I am. Sabrina? Na 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 na. Jesus Christ. Lack of enthusiasm will kill you, folks. Any news on your AJ tickets? No, Dara. So far, mate, I am taking a big dirty L in my quest to get those tickets. And trust me, Dara, I have never worked harder to give somebody $4,000 in my life. I have emailed Matchroom. I've emailed Eddie Hearn's sister, who works as and runs part of Matchroom. I've been in contact with 258, or a friend of mine's been in contact with 258, who's AJ's management team. I've contacted Frank Smith on Twitter. I've tried to tag Eddie Hearn. I've registered for the 5 Pass to try and get the tickets early. I have never in my life worked harder to try and give somebody £4,000 unsuccessfully than I have for this, that, and it's killing me, Dara. It is killing me, mate. But I have a plan B in place. Dylan, there you are. Nice to see you back in, mate. 1 second. There you go, buddy. There's your moderator. Thank you for popping back in, Dylan. Will I marry me for Chiesa to Liverpool? I'm kind of already married, mate. So, you know, I'd have to say no. What are your ideal signings this summer, said Shay. You know, I'll say what I've said before, Shay. I'm alright with most of the names that have been linked. So I'm alright with the idea of Renato Sanchez. I'm alright with the idea of Saul. I'm even alright with the idea of Jarrod Bowen, even though I think we could do better. Jeremy Doku seems like Ron want him for another year, but it does look like... Oh, I'm going to utter words now, and I want to slap me in the face just for saying these words, but... It does look like 2022 might be a big summer, because you've got the whole Doku stuff and maybe the Jude stuff. And I know. I mean, I'd let you guys slap me in the face if you were here for saying it, but there are factual reasons for me saying that, mainly because both of them aren't going to be available till next year anyway. So, God, I hate myself for even saying that. Kind of goes against everything that I've been moaning about, doesn't it? Basuma I'd be sound about as well. Yeah, absolutely sound about Basuma. Most of the centre midfielders we've been linked with, I've looked at and gone, yeah, they'd be grand, no problem. The best thing Liverpool did this summer is not sign Tielemans off us, said Cody. Yeah, I mean, look, again, another one, Cody, mate, I won't lie, I'd happily had. I know that he has a new contract offer from Leicester City. I don't know if he signed it or not yet. I haven't seen that he has, but it's certainly on the table for him. And yeah, another one that I would have happily had. Craig, do a Liverpool career mode. I'm more of a Virtua Tennis or a Madden or a Mario Kart type of person than giving money to EA on top of... See, I'm old school. I hate the idea of buying a computer game and then giving the fuckers more money on top of that. That doesn't sit well with me. So yeah, whatever gaming I do will probably be Mario Kart or Virtua Tennis or some retro stuff maybe. Look, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you absolutely beautiful people, thank you so much for coming in, having a bit of fun with me again tonight. I'm sorry that my wife is such a damn squid, but you know, one of us in the family, you know, she'd be bouncing around the gaff in the kitchen doing dances like little TikToks with my daughter, like, I guarantee you. But one of these days I'll catch her on video and I'll put it up and I'll put it on Twitter, and payback will be a bitch. Look, anyway, only joking, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely love you all dearly. Have yourselves an incredible Saturday night. I'll be back tomorrow with a late night agenda. I'll be talking with Corey from the West Ham way as well around the whole stuff, linking us to Jarrod Bowen. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video. Don't forget the link to the One Football News Roundup video is at the top of the live chat right now. If you can go over there, give that a little watch for me, that would mean the world. But most importantly, enjoy yourselves. Lots of love.